Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive deep into the animal kingdom, and we're going to meet some of the most surprising creatures on the planet. I'm talking about the mammals that, well, they just don't play by the book.
All right, so let's just jump right in. When I say the word mammal, what pops into your head? Probably a few key things, right? It's almost like we all have this little mental checklist for what makes the cut.
Yeah, your science textbook would likely give you a list that looks a lot like this one. You know the drill. Has fur or hair, makes milk for its babies, gives live birth, and it's warm-blooded. These are pretty much the classic rules for getting into the mammal club. But what if I told you that some of the coolest members of this club don't really follow all the rules?
And that is exactly what we are going to do today. Get ready because we are about to meet the rebels, the oddballs, the official rule breakers of the mammal family. So let's do this.
All right, first up, we've got a crew of mammals that are so unique, they are basically in a league of their own. These animals took the standard mammal blueprint and just went in some really wild, incredible directions. So let's meet the Sirenians. Right away, they break what we might think of as rule number one for a typical mammal living on land. Nope, these gentle giants, people call them sea cows, spend their entire lives in the water. And in this group, you've basically got two main types, manatees and dugongs. Now, at first glance, they look pretty similar. But here's the trick. You can always tell them apart by their tails. See, a manatee's tail is this big, broad paddle. But a dugong's, it's forked, kind of like a whale's. And that's not all. They've got totally different teeth, too. Okay, let's take another rule. Mammals have fur, right? Well, meet the pangolin. Seriously, the source material we're looking at describes it as a walking pine cone, and honestly, I can't think of a better way to put it. Just look at this thing. So, what's so cool about this is that the pangolin's scales aren't like reptile scales at all. They're actually made of keratin, the same stuff our hair and fingernails are made of. It's all just fused together. And can we talk about that tongue for a second? It can be longer than its entire head and body combined. And its go-to defense move, when it gets scared, it just rolls up into this tight little armored ball. And then, you've got the aardvark. Its name literally means earth pig, which makes sense when you see its snout and learn about its incredible digging skills. This animal is so unique. Think about that huge family tree scientists use for all the animals. The aardvark is the only living species in its entire branch, or what scientists call an order. It's truly one of a kind. Okay, so let's recap. We've seen mammals that live in the water, and we've seen mammals covered in scales. The rulebook's definitely looking a little shaky at this point. So now let's meet our next group, the marsupials. And you probably know them for their famous built-in baby carriers. So yeah, that's what makes a marsupial a marsupial. The marsupial, which is just the scientific name for the pouch. See, instead of having a long pregnancy like other mammals, their babies are born when they're super, super tiny and underdeveloped, and they do the rest of their growing right inside that pouch, all safe and sound. And when I say tiny, I mean it's hard to even picture it. A brand new baby kangaroo can be just 5 millimeters long. That is smaller than a jelly bean. A baby wombat? About the size of a bumblebee. And get this, right after being born, these tiny little things have to make this epic, heroic journey, all the way from the birth canal into the pouch, all by themselves. It's incredible. Of course, we gotta talk about the most famous marsupial, the kangaroo. It's the largest hopping animal on the entire planet, and that unique way of getting around, it's not just for show. Scientists have actually figured out that when they're moving fast, hopping uses less energy than running would. It's basically a superpower for traveling across the huge Australian outback. Now, on the total opposite end of the energy spectrum, we have the koala. This little guy might just win the award for world's pickiest eater. It eats pretty much nothing but eucalyptus leaves. And the thing is, those leaves are really tough to digest and don't have a lot of nutrients. That's exactly why koalas spend up to 20 hours a day just napping. They gotta save that energy. Next up, let's meet the wombat. Just look at this thing. It's got this chunky, super muscular body and these powerful claws that are perfect for digging these complex mazes of burrows. People call it a living bulldozer, and you can see why. And here's a super smart design feature. Its pouch actually faces backward. Why? So it doesn't get filled up with dirt while it's digging. Genius. And we can't forget the opossum. This one is a true master of drama.
And fun fact, it's the only marsupial you'll find naturally outside of Australia and the islands around it. You've probably heard about its famous trick, playing dead. And it is so convincing. It goes completely limp. Its tongue lolls out, and it can stay that way for hours. I mean, talk about committing to the bit.
All right, so we've seen mammals in the water, mammals with scales, and mammals with pouches. The rules are definitely bending. But now we're about to break the biggest rule of them all, the idea that all mammals give live birth. This is where the mammal handbook just gets tossed right out the window. Get ready, folks, to meet the monotremes. This super small, super weird group completely shatters that live birth rule because, get this, these mammals lay eggs. That's right, eggs. But because they still have hair and they still produce milk for their babies, they get to keep their membership card to the mammal club. First up is the echidna. It looks kind of like a porcupine, all covered in spines. It has this long snout it uses to lap up insects. And here's the wild part. It lays a single leathery egg that the mother carries around in a temporary pouch that's really just a fold in her skin. And finally, the star of the show, the one you've been waiting for, the platypus. This animal is so bizarre that when scientists in Europe first saw a preserved one way back in 1799, they were convinced it was a fake. They thought some prankster had sewn a duck's bill onto a beaver's body. And, can you blame them?
Just look at this combination. You've got the thick, waterproof fur of an otter. You've got a soft, rubbery bill like a duck. You've got webbed feet, perfect for swimming. And, this part is wild, the males have a sharp, venomous spur on their back feet. A venomous mammal? How crazy is that? And that bill, it is not just for looks. It's basically a piece of high-tech hunting gear. When a platypus hunts, it closes its eyes, its ears, and its nose completely. It uses thousands of tiny receptors in its bill to see the faint electrical signals that its prey's muscles give off. It is literally seeing with its bill. Mind-blowing. The platypus is just so incredibly specialized. It makes you think. Some people, for example, see it as evidence of a very intentional kind of design. The source material we're using for this explainer actually puts it this way, saying the platypus is far from being primitive, a testament to God's creative genius. No matter how you look at it, it's an animal that definitely inspires a whole lot of wonder. So what's the big takeaway from all this? I think it's that nature is just packed with surprises. These amazing rule breakers show us that the mammal family is so much more diverse and strange and wonderful than any simple checklist could ever capture. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other rules out there in nature are just waiting to be broken?